過ぎた季節が嘘だとしても重ねたぬくもりは嘘じゃない君が残した背中の傷跡は今もずっと甘くてだからずっと痛くて
Yo, what it do, guys? Leon Mookie here, and I'm back with another chapter of the hero of Senran Kagura. In the last chapter, it was basically the prologue on how Izuku was training to become a ninja, and also on how he met Homura, Asuka, Yumi, and Miyabi. Which I will say this again. They will be part of Izuku's harem, and actually they'll be his main girls actually. And yes, he basically will have almost all the other girls of the elite teams basically at him as well. Just letting you guys know that now instead of later. Plus, because I know this might come up, no, Izuku will not be the same age as the rest of the other girls because it's already shown that they are older than him. Well, some of the girls, I mean. So he'll be at least 1 year younger than most of all the girls, actually. Well, except Miyabi, who I did say is way older than Izuku after all. So yeah. Also, I'm most likely going to ask you guys something at the end of the video, so stay tuned to that. So with that said, let's get into this show, guys. Chapter 1, The Boy Born to be a Hero. Izuku Midoriya. As the years go on, his training as that of a shinobi continues, with the guidance of his father and also his other masters, being his father's original masters, Hanzo and Kurokage. Mostly in his training, he focuses a lot on, using on various techniques, abilities, and skills. He mostly focuses on that of hand-to-hand combat and that of weapon combat as well, which his main weapon is that of a Odachi. If you guys don't remember, in the last chapter I put out, being the long katana-like blade to help him make up for, him being short after all. So using this long sword will help him gain more reach across his enemies. And he not just wields just one, but he also wields two. He mostly uses one in main combat. However, when he gets serious, when he uses his shinobi tenshin, being his shinobi transformation, he pulls out his second one, which gives him the elemental affinity of both wind and lightning. However, he does have one defining problem that he can't overcome no matter how much he tries. He cannot form a shinobi barrier, not even once. It is the one thing that Izuku does not have a good control over one bit. Every time he forms a barrier, he keeps it up 1 second and then boom, it shatters. Being the one technique that Izuku always tries to perfect and tries to see if he can get the handle of. Unfortunately, no matter all of his attempts, he always fails. Due to this, both Hasashi, Hanzo, and Kurokage decided to, allow Izuku to stop trying to form a shinobi barrier. He has the handle of everything else. It's only a barrier that he can't form, which there's no shame in. He has a good control over his speed, stealth, control. Hell, due to him being quirkless, he's already good at blending into the background, given that people believe he has quite the bland face. Well, mostly males actually. When it comes to females of the shinobi variety, they believe that he's literally the cutest person in the world. For example, Asuka, She's always trained alongside Izuku, helping him out whenever she can, even doing her own training alongside her grandfather when she doesn't spend time with Izuku. And not only that, she's no longer the rowdy tomboy that she was before. She's now basically an innocent, polite, and way too over-sexualized innocent girl now training to become a shinobi, who also has a crush on Izuku, given his kindness, his devotion, and his motivation to become a hero. Even though he's quirkless and he has no quirk, he's still going through his shinobi training so he can have the chance to become a hero. It's because of that devotion, that drive, that she admires. And that's the reason why she fell for Izuku, not just as her childhood friend, but as her crush and first love. But for her, mostly on the plus side, is that the bland face that people think that Izuku has is way too cute for her, especially when the greenette smiles in front of her. She can't help but blush and basically cling to the greenette. Let's also bring up Yumi of all people. She, who thought of Izuku as a kind-hearted kid once they grew up, she also begins having feelings for Izuku. But every time when she tries to talk to Izuku, where Izuku always acts like a stuttering mess around all types of girls, she does the same thing when it comes to him, that she can't always speak completely honest. Not only that, when she always looks at Izuku, she blushes and turns her face away from him. Plus, she's not the only girl that's fond of Izuku, as the other adopted granddaughters of Kurokage began falling for Izuku as well, such as Shiki, who does talk a bit of in a Valley Girl accent, actually, but always messes with Izuku and toys with his feelings, given his nervousness around women after all. But she does it just out of pure fun. Not only that, she always tries her best to make Izuku feel relaxed when he ever feels like he's overworked, overtraining, or other things, or school. She always tries her best to make Izuku feel relaxed, no matter what. There's also Yozakura, who's pretty strict with Izuku when they're sparring and training, always trying to push him to his limits, to move past on what he's capable of, especially since he's quirkless. Since because of that, he needs to work harder and train harder. But it's not out of an obligation to basically force him to become a well-fine shinobi. It's more of a way to protect him, keep him safe, mostly because she doesn't want to lose Izuku, given how much that she cares about him. She always is serious with him 24/7, just because she doesn't want to lose the one person that she cares about the most, just like her siblings, but possibly even more. There's also Morikumo, who has also taken a liking to Izuku, given that the two are quite nervous and shy around other people, such as themselves. But when the two start training and sparring with each other, the two actually feel close with each other. Feel close, like they could read each other's movements and attack patterns. Mostly almost like they were dancing when they spar together. And because of that, she doesn't feel as nervous around Izuku, like how Izuku is nervous around the others as well. However, that all changed once she, was adopted by another family, with Kurokage wanting her to have that of a happy life, and even Izuku encouraging it, that one day that they'll see each other again, and that he'll promise. With that, she leaves, hoping one day to meet with her sisters and her first true love, Izuku. And last but not least, there's also Minori, who has always been clingy to Izuku, always pushing him to play games with her, have fun with her, basically just spend time with her always, Even though he wants to focus more on his training, she always bugs him 24/7 just to spend time with her. Just like Kurokage. However, when it comes to Izuku, she just doesn't want to leave him by his side because she cares too much about him and likes his kind-hearted and loving personality, given that they both are the same age after all. Because of that, Izuku harem begins growing even more. But while Izuku gains new friends and new sparring partners, he loses more friends, especially his oldest and most closest friend. Ever since they were young, they were always close, never being separated. And, however, as years go by, Izuku still doesn't know that she is also a shinobi in training, that she comes from a family of shinobis. But because of this, Izuku barely gets to see her, barely gets to spend time with her, and every year it gets worse and worse, where he barely even gets to see her. Where Homura always promises that they'll get to spend time together, that they'll always be together as best friends. However, each time where they do spend time together, it's most of the time they don't. Where mostly Homura breaks her promises. Where this hurts Izuku, it hurts Homura even more, because during this time she begins falling for Izuku. Instead of just seeing him as her best friend that she'll do anything to protect from bullies like Bakugo, now she sees as this quirkless boy that's always stayed by her side no matter what, always there for her, and is always willing to be there by her side, which she can't help but admire and love Izuku for his devotion and kindness for still being her friend, her first true friend, and her first love as well. With that, years still go by. However, one year, Homura never stopped calling. She stopped contacting Izuku entirely and never, ever said why. Not one bit. Because of that, Izuku felt like he lost one of his closest childhood friends that day and feels like he's never going to see her again. Because of this, he devoted all his time after school training, his free days training. Ever since then, Izuku was like that of a training machine. Even though he was still short and people still see him as scrawny and that weak, quirkless kid, he was able to hold his own against everybody, even defeating them without even breaking a sweat in the process. That Izuku, hell, even those who tried using their quirks on him couldn't even handle how strong Izuku is. Not even Bakugo, who is out of almost everybody at Aldera Junior High, tries his best to put Izuku back into his place to prove that he is a worthless, useless, quirkless nerd that deserves to be at the bottom and giving up on his dream of becoming a hero. Izuku doesn't give up on that dream and even shows his determination and strength through all of his hard work and training with his shinobi. However, all that began to change during his 13th birthday, where he hears news about Kurokage from his father that he has died from illness. Hearing that, Izuku was completely devastated, completely, shattered, hearing that one of his masters, one of his father's teachers who taught him everything on what it meant to be a shinobi, died, and that he'll never be able to see him again. He'll never be able to teach him again. But he does know one thing, that everything that he's learned from him, everything that he passed to him and to his granddaughters, will live on within him as he strives to still become a hero. However, as that happened, Kurokage's granddaughters, Yumi, Shiki, Minori, Yozakura, and even Morikumo. They all train hard and all want to become shinobis even more to live up to their grandfather, who took them in their times of need, in their times of suffering. As Hisashi decided to look after the girls and see how well that they do, mostly wanting to take care of them because as a last favor and as his last way to show his appreciation for his sensei. As for Izuku, he continues his trainings and study. As 2 years go by, he's now 14 years old, preparing for his last year at that of Aldera Junior High, where he's already put in his application for UA. As is on his way to the school, he plans on meeting a certain someone who's also starting their first day at high school. As he's running down the streets, even skipping a fight between Kamui Woods and a gigantification villain, as he really wants to see the fight and write down some notes. Of course, he can't, as he's meeting with a certain someone that means a lot to him. As he's going down the street, he soon sees a familiar girl with that of a short, spiky ponytail, her big brown eyes, and a figure that would make many women basically, feel jealous and make many men basically pine for her. This girl being Asuka, Izuku's childhood friend, with her wearing a Hanzo Academy uniform, as it being a plain white shirt, button-up shirts, with that of a plain navy blue skirt that seems pretty short, even though it's supposed to be the normal length. With soon Izuku basically having his eyes closed and a smile, but also having a sweat drop, saying, "Why is it that everything she wears make it seem like it's too small for her? I really hope I don't feel, just makes me feel like a pervert just looking at her like this." With soon Asuka seeing her childhood friend and waves, saying, "Izuku, hey, over here!" With soon Izuku even having more sweat drop as she waves, at mostly because of her breasts basically moving side to side just by the slight movements, with Izuku saying, "What the actual hell?" As Izuku walks up to Asuka, saying, "Sorry I'm late, Asuka. I was really rushing." Saying, "Oh, no worries. I still got time before I have to head to school anyway. At least another 2 hours. So, and I'm glad that you actually came to see me off." With soon Izuku saying, "Yeah, I did promise I would, so here I am." With soon she's saying, "So, what about your entrance form? Did you..." "Oh, right, yeah. I did apply for UA, actually. So in the next 10 months, the entrance exam will begin, and I'll work hard to get into it." With then Asuka saying, "That's the spirit, Izuku. Man, I'm so looking forward to it. Just you watch when everybody finds out that you're actually quirkless. And then in the next 3 years, look out, world. Izuku Midoriya, the first quirkless hero, is taking the scene." With then Izuku actually getting embarrassed with his face turning fully red, saying, "Hey, come on, Asuka, you're basically embarrassing me. I mean, I still gotta train hard. After all, being quirkless means I gotta work harder than everyone else." With then saying, "And it's that hard work that I admire a lot about you, Izuku. It's that you never give up, no matter what." With Izuku caught off guard while still blushing, saying, "Asuka, thanks." But then soon she basically grabs Izuku's head and basically puts it in between her breasts, with saying, "And it's because you're so adorably cute. You have your baby face hasn't changed ever since we were kids." With Izuku basically, shaking his arms basically frantically, mostly out of breath, and mostly because he doesn't want to touch Asuka to make him seem like a pervert, and him also freaking out like hell. Then she soon lets go, with Izuku catching his breath while his face is basically redder than a tomato, saying, please stop. Can you hug me like a normal person instead of, with her saying, what? As Asuka has that of an innocent look on her face, like way too innocent for her own good, that all she's doing is just hugging her best friend, her childhood best friend after all. What's wrong with that? Within, Izuku saying, a lot is wrong with that, especially on how you hug me. Then she begins pouting, saying, what, you don't like my hugs anymore, Izuku? Saying, that's not what I meant. Why does this always happen to me? As Izuku has his head down, with them actually drawing somewhat of a small crowd, thinking that both Izuku and Asuka are in a relationship. Then Asuka, not aware of the crowd, still smiles. Soon she's saying, Izuku, I know that you feel I don't know why you feel like you're nervous around me as always, but chin up. I'm always going to cheer you up, and I'm always going to cheer you on no matter what. So, whatever happens, I'll be always rooting for you no matter what. You hear me? Then Izuku raising his head up, saying, I know, and I really appreciate it. Asuka, it really means a lot to me. Soon she's smiling with her eyes closed while tilting her head to the side, then saying, there it goes. Any rate, you better get off to school. Soon Izuku saying, yeah, I will. Thanks again, Asuka, and good luck at Hanzo Academy. Saying, anytime. Wish me luck on being part of the elite team. Then Izuku waving Asuka off, and her doing the same to Izuku as she heads to the train station. Soon she's saying, I was really hoping I could at least confess to him and tell how I feel before I start my first day. Then she's saying, but I still got plenty of chances. I know I do. As long as I believe, I'll always have Izuku close to me, no matter what. After that, Izuku heads to Aldera Junior High. However, as he walks, they soon hears about tons of chatter about a certain new pro-heroine that actually took up the scene, taking care of the villain that was giving Kamui Woods some trouble, as it being Mount Lady. Then Izuku's eyes began widening, saying, I missed the debut of a new heroine? Oh, damn it. Can today get any worse for me? Little did Izuku know, today was about to get a little bit worse, depending on how you see it. A couple hours later, Izuku makes it to Aldera Junior High on time, soon in his homeroom classroom, within their homeroom teacher saying, now that all of you are starting your last year here at Aldera Junior High, you got to think long and hard about what you're going to do. You can go straight into high school as always, further your education, and then also go to college as well or you can start going to the workforce now and early once you graduate, which would be useful as well. So I think it'd be the best way to see what you'll all be doing in the future if we all take a career aptitude test. Don't you all agree? But then soon as he takes a few papers into his hand, he soon tosses them into the air and saying, but why bother? All of you wish to become heroes after all. Hearing this, everybody begins activating their quirks. As for Izuku, he continues reading up on a book that he's been reading, as it being that of actually it's a scroll, but using his shinobi techniques to disguise it into a small book. He's reading up on a technique that will help him improve his shinobi barriers, allowing him to hide what he's doing to the public, which he's been wanting to figure out for a long time now. And he's still unable to, unfortunately. With that, soon he begins hearing a loud, obnoxious, and booming voice saying, "Hey, teach, don't let me in with these bunch of extras and losers. They would be lucky enough to be a sidekick to some wannabe D-lister after all. Forgotten to time to everyone." Within hearing this, Izuku couldn't help but sigh, saying, "Oh, Kachan, you never change, don't you?" With then soon a few students saying, "Hey, you think you could do better than us, Katsuki?" Saying, "Yeah, Bakugo, what the hell, man? What makes you think that you're better?" With then soon, Bakugo jumps up on his desk with saying, "Because I plan on becoming the next #1 hero by going to UA." With then everybody is surprised and shocked, except for Izuku, which of course he is aware that Bakugo is going to go to UA, of course, being that it is the school that creates the strongest and best heroes in Japan. Hell, scratch that, most likely the world. With many of his classmates begin to chatter saying, "Wait, Bakugo's going to UA? That's the national level school." Within another one of the students saying, "Yeah, the only schools that are able to rival UA High is that of Shiketsu Academy and also Hanzo National Academy." Within a female student saying, "Hey, isn't Hibijo Academy starting to get up higher in the ranks of heroes nowadays?" Saying, "Yeah, but they're all female, in top ranking females at that." With students saying, "Hey, I hear that Hibijo Academy is planning on becoming a co-ed school starting next year. I think I might apply if I could." With a few of the female students in the classroom began getting a little bit disgusted at their male classmates, with knowing that he's only going there just to see the girls at Hibijo. With then Bakugo saying, "Of course I plan on going to UA. After all, it's the only school that is worthy for somebody like me to become the next #1 hero in all of Japan, and possibly even the world." With soon, their teachers soon had that of a curious face, within having a paper flapping it around saying, "Oh, right, Midoriya, you said that you plan on going to UA as well." With soon, Bakugo stopped laughing, as then everybody begins looking at Izuku. But then Izuku sighed, saying, "Seriously? You could have just left that alone, Teach. You didn't have to actually point me out." With then their teacher getting annoyed at Izuku being somewhat, annoyed at their teacher for pointing him out, saying, "It's my job as your educator to tell your peers what you may do. Then why didn't you bring up everyone else or any of the other heroes or any of the other students here who plans on trying to become heroes as well?" With then everybody's eyes began widening, even Bakugo's eyes saying, "What? Which one of you damn extras are trying to become heroes? It's bad. At least I know that some of you have a damn chance, but not this damn quirkless nerd, but still, tell me, assholes." With then everybody's actually being quiet, mostly because they don't want to be on not just Bakugo's bad side, but Izuku's bad side. And the only reason that they're not, laughing and basically, ridiculing to his face is because they're terrified of Izuku. Because they know that Izuku is strong enough to take all of them on, and he's completely quirkless, even beating Bakugo multiple times, and he has no quirk. And Bakugo is considered to be the most gifted and strongest person in Aldera. With then Bakugo trying to go to Izuku's desk and then try to explode it. However, Izuku basically pushed his desk up, hitting Bakugo in his gut as he collapses to the ground, hit his face on Izuku's desktop, and then hold his nose. Within Izuku saying, "Can we put an end to this? This is just ridiculous. It's early in the day and it's our final year here. Can we at least try to act like goddamn grown-ups here, for God fucking sake?" With that, everybody was more terrified, with even their teacher saying, "Midoriya, go. That was all called for. Go outside. Bakugo, go back to your seat." With then Izuku standing up from his chair as he looks at Bakugo with that sort of an annoyed look on his face as he walk outside for a bit. With soon Bakugo thinks to himself, That damn nerd. How dare he? How dare that quirkless loser looks down on me? I swear I'm going to put that damn nerd back into his place if it's the last thing I do." As for Izuku, he soon, as he waits outside for a bit, as he knows classes have already started. Knowing this, he also gets in trouble with a couple of teachers, basically told that what he did to Bakugo was unnecessary, even with the principal. As he goes to the principal's office, within getting a lecture from his principal as always, even though Bakugo was the one who tried to attack him and tried to hit and tried to intimidate him. When Bakugo does the same thing to anybody, especially Izuku, he gets a slap on the wrist and doesn't get in trouble, which the only reason why is because Bakugo is their meal ticket. Katsuki Bakugo is the one that's going to put Aldera Junior High on the map. Put a school that basically doesn't regulate quirk usage one bit, or basically looks down on it at all. This basically piece of shit of a school that Izuku is forced to go to because it's the only place close enough so he doesn't worry his mother, who ever since Izuku has started his shinobi training, has been completely worried and scared for him constantly, knowing the, brutal and harsh training that Hasashi had to go through when he was training as a young shinobi. With that, Izuku had to compromise in more ways than one, just so he didn't worry his mom. After that, he soon leaves from the principal's office as he grabs his bag and plans to head back home. At Asakusa in Tokyo District City in Japan, the end of the first day at Hanzo Academy finally comes to an end, as Asuka is about to leave until she. So here they are again, with Asuka realizing the voice. Her breasts are soon grabbed by a certain someone she is aware of, as she begins groping her. Within Asuka panting in that of discomfort, saying, "Katsuragi, what the hell is wrong with you? Why?" With soon saying, "Aw, how could I not want to squeeze these things? They're so big after all. I just have to." Within Asuka saying, No, you don't. Please let go, would you?" With that, all that many students began to leave, mostly out of uncomfortability and mostly because they just don't want to get involved. With soon a girl that looks like she's a second year, having that of long black hair, also waits outside saying, "So they're candidates to join the elite squad of Hanzo. Let's hope that they live up to the expectations that being a shinobi has for them." With that, Izuku plans on leaving that of Aldera Junior High. As he walks to the front entrance, he soon sees Bakugo and two of his lackeys. Within, Izuku sighing, saying, just ignore them. I have training after this, and I don't want to waste my time with it, with Kachan. Izuku sees that Bakugo stuck his foot out. However, noticing this, he basically moves over it like it was nothing. Within, Bakugo soon saying, "Hey, Deku, what gives you what's saying, I'm going to stop you right there, Kachan. I don't want to deal with you. Far from it, you're basically the least important thing on my list right now. Right now, I just want to get back home and begin my training. That's all that matters. You're basically nothing but somebody throwing a little temper tantrum because I humiliate you during homeroom. That's it. It's seriously annoying the hell out of me right now." Saying, "You got a lot of nerve, you quirkless bastard." With one of them saying, "Yeah, what reason you got a right to talk down to Bakugo like that, you loser?" Within, one of them saying, "Yeah, just because you got a couple of lucky hits on us and tons of other people here Aldera, doesn't mean that you're gonna beat us again." Within, Izuku looking back at them, as in his eyes do not have the same of that of the peppy and cheerful boy who admires heroes so much that he wants to be one just like his idol, as these are the eyes of a person who doesn't want to deal with pointless formalities, something that doesn't matter in his greater scheme of things, becoming a hero, becoming the hero like his idol, All Might. Within, Izuku saying, "Do you really want to do this now? Because I really don't. I really just want to go home and just get things done." Within, Bakugo has that of small explosions in his palm saying, "Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm going to put you in your place. A quirkless loser like you has no right to go to UA. You don't even have a quirk. With a useless, worthless, pathetic Deku like you doesn't have a right to go to UA." Within, Izuku is already in front of Bakugo as he grabs him by his throat, slams him to the ground, places his foot on his chest before putting his left fist in his face, and is preparing his right hand coming down on his face, actually, with soon saying, I could choose to hit you so hard I could basically cave in your face, knocking you out and basically breaking your nose, bust your jaw, and split your lip. Do you really wish for that, Kachan? Do you want that? Because right now, I don't want to deal with you. You hear me?" With then Bakugo saying, "Why you? What's it going to be? A fist to your face that's going to force you to black out for the next couple of minutes? Or do we go our separate ways? I do my own thing and you do your own. Simple as that. As we both train to get in, to pass the entry exam to get into UA. What is it going to be?" Within, Bakugo gritting his teeth and also basically saying, "You know what's important for a hero? Their backstory, their tribulations on how they became the #1 hero, how they became a pro. If I'm the only one from this dump of a school that goes to UA, it proves that I've basically grown from somebody who was from nothing to something. And a worthless loser like you going to UA and basically embarrassing yourself and others is pointless." Within, Izuku saying, "So you made your choice." As it becomes quiet for a second, as Izuku soon, eyes widening, and that's of pure death, saying, "Don't say I didn't warn you, Kachan!" As then, his right fist collides with Bakugo's face. As then, small squirts of blood and his fist breaking Bakugo's skin, causing more blood to come out. And with that, Bakugo is knocked out as his face is now swollen. Within, the two lackeys of Bakugo saying, get Kachan to a hospital or possibly a small clinic in the area. Or if you can't do that, take him back into the school, into the nurse's office, and get his face patched up a little bit. He's going to be out for at least a little while. So you'll basically get the chance to carry him and basically see him in his most vulnerable. Got it? Within, both of them saying, yes, sir. Saying, good. Now go. With that, they both carry Bakugo back into the school, given that it's the closest area and they don't want to be carrying Bakugo like the entire time because they have places to go as well. As for Izuku, he soon walks off before he clenches his fist saying, I hate fighting. I hate fighting people. I want to become a shinobi to protect people. I want to save lives like All Might. That's all that matters. I didn't train to become a shinobi for the fame and the glory. I trained to become a shinobi so I can protect innocent lives. Just like him. Is that so hard? Is that so hard to want so much? With that, soon, as Izuku continues walking, he heads to the same underpass brick tunnel that leads a shortcut to his place, as he wants to relax a little bit before he starts his training. As Izuku continues walking, he soon begins to notice that something is coming up to the sewers, as he begins to think, huh? What the? Within, a sludge villain begins popping out of the manhole cover with saying, hey kid, you got a nice body. Mind if I take it as a disguise? Within, Izuku, seeing that the villain was about to attack him, he jumps back, doing a backflip, as then he dodges each and every strike with saying, stand still, kid. What kind of quirk do you have? Some kind of reflex quirk? With soon, Izuku not saying anything, with internally thinking, so a slime villain. Of all the villains to have to fight, well, at least that there's no civilians here and no people to see. That makes it easier for me to use my shinobi tension. Gives me a chance to transform without any problems. With then, as Izuku jumps back again and again, he soon says, this will give me enough space. As soon, he pulls a scroll from his school uniform sleeve, as he is about to say, Shinobi 10! But then he was cut off saying, never fear, because I am here! With then, Izuku hearing that booming voice, as he's heard that voice so many times, the voice that inspired him, the voice that kept him going to become a hero, as it being his idol, his hero, the number one hero of Japan and symbol of peace, All Might, with saying, you Texas Smash! As soon a huge gust wave was sent flying at the sledge villain. As for Izuku was about to get blown away as well. However, he was able to grab his bag in time, grab one of his spare scrolls, and was able to bring out his kunai, and was able to stab it into the ground, allowing him to hold on for dear life before if he was ever pushed back. And he didn't want to get knocked out from being, hit by the number one hero's smashes after all. As soon the air pressure dies down and Izuku looks around, seeing the sledge villain all over the tunnel, within, All Might saying, ha, it looks like you're able to hold your own, young man. That's good. Within, Izuku saying, All Might, it's you. Wow, I'm such a huge fan. Then he's still having his backpack in his hands, as he grabs for one of his old hero analysis notebooks, but saying, here, could you sign this for me, sir? with soon saying, haha, a fanboy, but I'm always there to always please a fan. As soon he grabs a pen and signs Izuku's notebook, saying, This will be a family heirloom. I will treasure this forever. But soon All Might saying, haha, well, don't go that far, but I'm always glad. I'm glad that you were able to hold your own as soon as I arrived. With that, I'll be taking care of this villain. With that, soon, All Might was able to gather up all of the villain into the small bottle, saying, oh, wait, All Might, can I ask you a question? Saying, sorry, kid, heroes aren't just fighting villains, they're also fighting time as well. But this is just a short answer. I want to ask you, is it possible for somebody like me to be a hero like you, even though I don't have a quirk? But then hearing this, All Might was completely caught off guard, saying, You don't have a quirk? But how would you able to? I've trained myself day in and day out. I've basically put myself through rigorous training so I could become a hero. So I can start at the hero entrance exam starting in the next 10 months or so. I've worked myself day in and day out so I can become a hero just like you, a person that smiles in the face of danger, giving people, reassuring them of hope. That's the kind of hero I want to be. That's the kind of hero I strive to be. So I want to ask you, directly to you, somebody that has inspired so many heroes and has told so many people that they can become heroes, can I, a quirkless person, become a hero? Within hearing this, All Might began thinking, Toshi, this kid has the same devotion, the same drive as you. If it wasn't for Nana, I would still be quirkless to this day. I wouldn't have been the symbol of peace. I wouldn't have been the pillar that keeps this country together. And I wouldn't have been the one to defeat All for One. This kid has a lot of hope. He's trained himself day in and day out. I can even tell just by looking at him as well. He may be short, but he's strong. But I can tell he is devoted. But even so, unlike me, he didn't have any luck. And I barely know this kid, so... Young man, you say that you trained yourself day in and day out to become a hero. I understand what you're saying. However, it's not impossible. I know you were about to say that. I've trained myself day in and day out to become a hero. I knew you were most likely going to say that I can't become a hero without a quirk. But even so, I've seen people, even those without quirks, were able to do the impossible. No matter what, they're still able to protect others, still able to inspire others without a quirk. And it wasn't your quirk that inspired me to become a hero. It was your actions. That's what inspired me to become a hero. Not power, not strength, and certainly not your quirk. It was it's who you were. It's what you did that wanted me to become a hero. With that, All Might was completely taken back by that. With Soon saying, young man, you're truly devoted to become a hero no matter what, aren't you? Saying, yes, I am. Saying, what is your name? Izuku Midoriya. Would say, Izuku Midoriya, if you like, give me your notebook. Within Izuku giving him his notebook again, as then saying, if you wish to talk, there's somebody who would be able to train you and see what you're capable of. If you still strive to become a hero, please call this number. And once they call back, please say that All Might told you to meet with him. Is that understood, young Midoriya? Within Izuku saying, yes, sir, I understand. saying, "Good. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go." As then, All Might jumps off as a dust trail soon blows Izuku's school uniform, saying, "All Might gave me a number of a person to help me become stronger. I still have my shinobi training to do. That won't stop me anytime soon. Whoever this person All Might told me to call, I'll call them whenever I have time, outside my training." With that, All Might soon lands on that of a building as his body begins to steam and he begins to coughing up blood, saying, "I'm glad that I was able to hold out longer to speak to him." Within, All Might reverting back to normal as he's in his scrawny form, with him saying, "Ugh, that kid, a quirkless kid who I used to be." And yet he strives to become a hero so much that he's put himself through rigorous training, even able to hold his own against a villain, and yet he has no quirk. Now that's something else. I can't help but admire that. Hopefully he calls me. If he's worthy to be my successor, then let's see what he's capable of. With that, All Might looks up to the future as he waits for his time limit to go back to normal so he could basically turn in the sledge villain. As for Izuku, he heads back home preparing for his training with his father. As now, in the next 10 months or so, Izuku prepares for his training. Little did Izuku know, on this day, Izuku's life would change for either the best or the worst. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I hope to read them. Also, sorry that I went over the guessing girls and their feelings for Izuku. I mean, like I did say, all the girls of each elite team is going to be falling for Izuku, but I need a reason on why they fall for them, and I need to make it quick because I still have this chapter. So yeah, but I like to go into details and make it feel like a relationship that would work instead of it being somewhat forced after all. So yeah, that's the reason why. I hope that it worked and hope you guys liked it. Other than that, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep up to date with my videos when I upload on this channel. And also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, main channel, and also my Patreon. Links to be in the description below. Also, before I forget, I'm also going to put up a poll as I decided to, I want to see what you guys think. Should I let Izuku go to UA and stay at UA actually and become that of an independent ninja doing jobs for his father and also Hanzo, while also finding out that not all evil ninjas are evil? Or should I send him to Hanzo Academy instead to be part of the elite squad of them and allowing Izuku to get closer and closer with the Hanzo girls instead? Or should I send him to Habitual Academy to get a feel for evil shinobi and see their way of life, for Hasashi to see that there are not really much differences between the two, between good and evil? What do you guys think? I'm just going to put a poll right after this chapter is done. So, tell me what you guys think. So with all that said, this is Leo Mookie, signing out. Later guys, and take care.